Sports.
We are Sports. We are Philly.
The Angels are right in the middle of a wide-open competition for an invitation to baseball's October Madness. Every game is important. However, some matchups take on greater significance. The last time the Halos visited Kauffman Stadium, the hometown Royals swept them out of the postseason. This weekend, the Angels' goal is straightforward, but also pivotal. Flip the script against the team many now consider the World Series favorite and carry that momentum all the way to a red October. Angels, Royals, next on Fox Sports West.
The rough road trip continues. We are in Kansas City. The Angels arrived here in Kansas City to their hotel at 4 a.m. That's the perfect way to snap a 9-game road losing streak tonight. Game 1 of a 4-game set. The Angels with the loss last night, and Houston's win against the San Francisco Giants means that the Angels are now 2 back in the standings. Texas won earlier today against the Minnesota Twins. We welcome you inside Kauffman Stadium and back to Angels baseball here on Fox Sports West. He's Mark Gubas of the Royal Hall of Famer, and I'm Victor Rojas. And go back to last year in June if you want to talk about some good things. The Angels playing good baseball at that point, and remember, Mike Trout had a monster home run here to straightaway center.
Yeah, Victor, he's had some great numbers. And take a look at our AT&T Uverse Rewind. He really squared up the baseball. You mentioned that last season against Kansas City. Fastball down the heart of the plate. Back on June 27th, he went to Bo Jackson-type territory in left center field. 383 career hitter against the Kansas City Royals. Also hits very well against Jeremy Guthrie, hitting over 370 there, too. So look for him to drive the ball. He's going to have to lead this club at this point. The offense is struggling, but Mike Trout is a guy that could certainly ignite the offense.
Halos did not take any batting practice today, so you hope they tee off on Jeremy Guthrie. As you mentioned, has had a really tough season in 2015. The Angels will counter with Garrett Richards. When we return to Kauffman Stadiums, we will focus in on that pitching matchup tonight. Angels baseball is brought to you by CarMax. Start the search for your next car at CarMax. CarMax, start here. By Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter. And by your Southern California Toyota dealers. ready to make his 22nd start of the season, and the Angels need him to pitch a very good game against a very, very good ball club.
Yeah, a club that doesn't strike out a whole lot, but when you look at Richards, he's a guy to get a lot of ground ball outs. 11-9 on the season ERA, a little over 3.5. 13-game winner last season. Jeremy Guthrie, though, has really struggled, especially batting average against. 320 batting average against Guthrie this year, 8-7. The ERA just under 6. They have to make good contact. They have to use the whole field against them.
Last minute scratch for the Angels. Eric Ivar taken out of the lineup with lower back stiffness. Taylor Featherston gets a start at short. As we're just about ready for baseball at KC. Sit back and relax. Lineups at first pitch when we return. One of a 4-game series. The Angels, of course, with the loss late last night, in 13 innings to the White Sox. Now a 9-game road losing streak, trying to snap that here this evening. As we take a look at Mike Scioscia's starting lineup for the Angels at 59 and 54, 2 back in the American League West. And they've got an opportunity to pick up a half game with Houston idle tonight. Johnny DiMatteo leading things off at second base. He's a former Royal. Cole Calhoun in right, Mike Trout at center. Albert Pujols at first. David Murphy the DH tonight. Connor Gillespie jumps up to that 6th spot. He is at third base. David DeJesus, the former Royal himself, in left. Carlos Perez behind the plate. Mentioned Featherston getting the start at shortstop. He will bat 9th as they take on the 36-year-old right-hander veteran Jeremy Guthrie on the mound. Comes in with an 8-7 record and a 5.84 ERA.
And Guthrie will battle you. He's a guy that pitches inside very well. Fastball is 89-94. Slider curve, very good changeup. My go-tos to be successful against Guthrie: patience at the plate. Get yourself into good fastball counts. When he's behind in the count, batting average way up there. And boogie to the left. That means left-handed batters hitting .332 against it with 13 home runs. So lefty power today in this game.
Check out the defense for Kansas City. Zobrist, Kane, and Rios in the outfield from left to right. Moustakas, Escobar, Infante, and Hosmer from third to first. And the former Angel, albeit for just a few minutes, Drew Butera behind the plate.
And Moustakas over at third base has really improved as far as his fielding percentage this year as compared to last year. .967 this year with just 9 errors. 19 errors last year, but he really turned it on towards the postseason where he made a couple unbelievable plays in the playoffs for the Royals.
Jeremy Guthrie ready to deliver the first pitch. Tonight's first pitch being delivered by the UPS store. Guthrie's first one in for a strike. DiMatteo hitting .272, 3 home runs, 40 runs batted in for the former Royal. Last night batting in the 7th spot of the order. Ended up going 1 for 5 with a single. Loops this one out towards shallow left center field. Ben Zobrist racing in. He will put it away for the first out.
One thing this Royal club does very well in the outfield, they cover a lot of ground. A lot of hits you think might fall in, they've been able to track those down.
Lorenzo Cain out in center field. 62 errors for the ball club. They've played good defense. Cain has 7 errors as a center fielder. But for the most part, if it's on the ground, it'll be scooped up by that infield. All 4 guys very good from third to first. It's Cole looks at strike 1. Calhoun hitting .271, 16 home runs, 60 RBIs. Hitless last night. 0 for 5, did draw a walk. The Angels managing total of 11 hits, and has been well documented, just could not get those hits when it counted with men in scoring position. That continues to be a problem for the Angels. 0 for 15 last night. And during this 9-game road losing streak, the Angels are 9 for 70 with men in scoring position. Cole takes strike 2, 1-2.
Guthrie, a very quick worker himself, doesn't move around that pitching mound too often. He stays right on the rubber.
Cole goes down swinging on the breaking ball. 2 outs.
My 100-day key for this game today is the Halos against the Royals. A little motley crew, going a little live wire. They'll be real active with your at-bats and taking that extra base. Even though the Royals are very solid defensively, you really have to push the envelope here, especially when you're struggling on the road. Take some chances. Bring that energy. It'll be important for Mike Trout to get that rolling right here potentially.
Trout takes outside for ball 1. Chokes the home run he hit last year here in June. Monster blast. He's hit 33 this year with 69 RBIs. He takes the off-speed low. 2 balls, no strikes.
Good count that hit Guthrie, and 2-0 counts against Guthrie this year. .389 batting average.
Three balls, no strikes. Mentioned in our open that the Angels got to their hotel by the time bags at 4 o'clock, 4:15 in the morning. No batting practice today. Mike looks at a strike 3 and 1.
As Trout today in the dugout, how he felt to get enough sleep. He said he felt great. He loves hitting against Kansas City. .383 career hitter against the Royals.
Terra back outside, and the 3-1's fouled back. Full count. And it's usually the not necessarily the day or the next day when you feel the effects of a late night. It's usually that second, third day. For some reason settles in. Fortunately, it was just a short flight and no time difference.
Yeah, at least you're not on the plane for a long period of time.
3-2, and that is ball 4. So it's a 2-out walk, and it'll bring up Albert. Guthrie in his last 3 starts, by the way, has given up quite a few runs. 18 of them to be exact. That's in 3 starts against Houston, Cleveland, and the White Sox. And in that stretch, he's allowed 31 hits. A lot of hits overall in the season, 155 and 118 plus innings.
And 19 home runs allowed, including 13 against left-handed batters, 6 against right-handed batters.
Veteran, the 3rd year of a 3-year deal.
And he's fighting for this spot in the rotation, so that makes him more dangerous tonight. The focus for him, trying to stay a part of the Royals rotation.
Albert had a 3-hit game last night, all 3 singles, hitting .258, 30 home runs, 66 RBIs. This one is fouled back and out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. We haven't seen from Albert is his ability to drive the baseball. Not forget about the home runs. I mean, it's sometimes happen in bunches. He hasn't hit one since the 29th, but the extra base hits, a lot of singles. You go back the last 18 games for Albert. Just 3 extra base hits, 2 doubles and a home run.
Doesn't that make you think that maybe Mike Trout's got to try to steal a base, get into scoring position to score on a single?
Chases that high fastball, fouls it straight back, and it's 1-2. He's got good numbers in his career in this ballpark. 43 games, Albert's hit 329. But 14 home runs and 42 runs batted in. A lot of that coming, of course, is the I-70 series every year with Interleague as a member of the Cardinals. Trout working the 2-out walk, stands at first. Breaking pitch, foul back. Good swing at that pitch. Still the count remains at 1-2. Royals team that has played very good baseball here at home. They are 39-19. Kauffman Stadium this year. Albert pops it up to shallow right field. Infante going out. Rios coming in, and it's Omar Infante putting it away. And the Angels are done here in the first. We'll head to the bottom of the inning with no score. Royals game number 114 for them, and they sit atop the American League with a 68-45 record. Alcides Escobar, the shortstop. Ben Zobrist in left. Lorenzo Cain at shortstop. Eric Hosmer, the cleanup hitter, at first. Kendrys Morales at DH. Mike Moustakas at third base. Alex Rios at right. Omar Infante at second. And Drew Butera batting ninth, doing the catching. Taking on Garrett Richards. 11-9 and a 3.51 ERA, making his 22nd start of the season.
And Garrett does have that power fastball. Can rush at 95 to 98 range. Slider, curveball. The keys for me for Richards to be successful against this Royal lineup is get ahead of the count. The batting average when he's ahead of the count is 206, but when he's behind in the count, 268. That's a 62-point differential between getting ahead and falling behind for Garrett Richards.
He's pitched in 8 games, made 2 starts in his career against Kansas City. 0-1, 1 save, and a 4.19 ERA. Escobar swinging first pitch, loops one out to right field, leadoff man on board. Defensively for the Angels, DeJesus in left, Trout in center, Calhoun in right. The infield with Gillespie, Featherston, Giavotella, and Pujols. Taylor getting a start in place of Ibar, who scratched tonight, and Perez behind the plate.
And this Kansas City club, it does not strike out a whole lot, so it's going to be important for Garrett to get those ground balls. And Johnny Giavitello has done a much better job of late in the last 31 games. His 2 errors made. It'll be very important to be able to turn a double play against this very quick Royal lineup.
Ben Zobrist playing his 13th game as a member of the Royals. Acquired in a deal with the Oakland Athletics for 2 minor league pitchers. He will look at his strike. Zobrist on the season hitting .270. Has 9 home runs and 41 runs batted in. 21 doubles. A couple of triples. You see the on-base percentage at .355. Veteran that Yost can kind of bounce around everywhere. Infield and outfield. He's getting the start tonight in left.
Zobrist has hit Richards pretty well, 4 for 9.
One ball, 1 strike. Escobar has 10 stolen bases on the year. He's been caught 5 times. Royals 8th in the American League in that category with 73, with Lorenzo Cain leading the charge.
Usually with Escobar, we've seen not only the beginning part of the season, but last year he generally tried to steal early in the count. Rich is doing a nice job with him so far, throwing off his timing.
With a lefty up, Albert playing just in front of him, and that was just off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Second meeting of the season between these 2 teams. Kansas City swept the Angels at the Big A. 3-game set, this being a 4-game series. Angels with this road losing streak now at 23 and 31 away from home. 2 balls and a strike. That is line to center. Escobar will turn and head to third, and the Royals have runners at first and third here in the first inning with Lorenzo Cain coming up.
We talked about Richards getting ahead of the count, behind in the count is Zobrist. 2-1 count, base hit. Now 5 for 10 against Richards. Fastball that was elevated. When Richards is good, his fastball's at the knees, 95-98 with either cut action or sink action.
There's the center fielder, Cain. 6-game hitting streak coming into tonight. .318 average. 12 home runs and 51 runs batted in. Royals seeming to think that Lorenzo Cain, an MVP candidate this year, along with Josh Donaldson and Mike Trout. .372 on base percentage for Cain. He takes strike 1.
Yeah, I think he has to be in that conversation when you think about Kansas City with the record best in the American League. What he has done since he's last couple of seasons actually staying healthy. And that's been always an issue for Lorenzo Cain. A lot of talent, but hasn't been able to stay on the baseball field to show it.
No balls, 2 strikes. Coming off a great series with the Tigers in which he went 8 for 12. Kansas City having their winning streak snapped yesterday with the Tigers winning. Royals have played well within the division as well, 32-19. 2 on and nobody out here in the first with no score. Look how far out Perez is set up against Cain here. There's a ground ball and will sneak through to the right side. Zobrist to second. El City's Escobar scores, and it's 1-0 Kansas City. 3 straight singles to start this one for the Royals.
And it was elevated and out over the plate. An easy pitch to put into play. Fastball upstairs. He just dropped his elbow enough, Richards did, to elevate that fastball. And when you're in protect mode on an 0-2 count, you're looking for something upstairs.
Are you surprised he went with a fastball after that slider swing?
Especially where he was set up. I would have bet anything he was going back with another slider.
You rarely see a catcher set up that far off the plate for a fastball.
Because again, sometimes you get so caught up into setting up hitters. You have a hitter swinging in a slider that far out of the zone. Why not go right back to it?
Here's Hosmer, the cleanup man. Takes outside. Kansas City, second in the American League in batting average, 269. They don't hit a lot of home runs. Matter of fact, they are last in that category. 7th in runs scored, 5th in on-base percentage, 6th in slugging. Hosmer takes outside for ball 2. As you can see here in the early going, one thing Kansas City does on the offensive side of things, if they get a pitch to hit at any point in the count, they're swinging the bats.
Especially when they get a fastball. It doesn't matter how good your fastball is. If you don't throw it where you want to, they will put it in play. Hosmer has rolled into 12 double plays. Richards could really use that now.
Delivers a strike. That's just the 11th pitch. 3 hits allowed, a run scored. Hosmer, the 4th batter. Just tells you if they're in the zone somewhere, they're going to be swinging away. Zobrist at second and Kane at first.
And Kane with a huge lead at first base. It's going to be difficult for the middle infielders to turn a double play because they'll be sliding in there quickly. I wonder at some point, if you're Carlos Perez and you're Albert Pujols, you take a shot at a back pick at first base. You can see he's got a huge lead and gets a good secondary lead. Makes it more difficult to turn a double play.
Two breaking ball. One of those that slips out of the hand, and it's a full count. And with Kansas City, wouldn't surprise me to see them on the move here, although you've got a left-handed batter up. Justin Hosmer made contact, .317 hitter this year. Featherston trying to keep Zobrist close to the bag. They don't go. The 3-2 is a little dribbler over toward first. Albert's got it, feeds Richards, and they get the 1 out. Runners advance 90 feet.
Richards got over there quickly to first base to cover the bag. That good line, the path to the base, finding the base, stepping on it, and then tracking where Zobrist would be at third base, because you never know, especially with this Kansas City club, a lot of times they'll just keep going around the base if you don't pay attention as a pitcher.
Kendrys Morales at the plate. Overshift is on with 3 infielders on the right side. Featherston, the lone man on the left, playing in near the cut of the grass. Kendrys, the DH for Kansas City. A fantastic season. Takes a strike. .287 average and 13 home runs. Kendrys with 81 RBIs. Chase that breaking ball. 0-2.
Similar count, similar swing on a breaking ball. You have to go with that again. Trust Carlos Perez to keep that breaking ball in front of you. You need a strikeout here. The infield playing back, giving up the run.
.0-2 pitch. Just outside with that breaking pitch. That's 1-2. Tenders having one very hot month of August so far. .341 average. 9 RBIs. He's got Zobrist at third and Kane at second. 1-0 Royals. 1 out here in the first. And down goes Morales. Perez will apply the tag. 2 outs.
It's a great sequence right there by Richards and Perez to get a swing and miss against a very good run producer. That hard slider, exactly where you want to throw that pitch if you're Richards, and the trust he has and Carlos Perez to keep that in front of him.
Mike Butcher's going to come out and pay a visit now.
The discussion with the base open potentially and Rios on deck. But after you strike someone out, you just want to get that baseball and attack a hitter.
Well, considering a guy that's at the plate right now hasn't done much since the month of June. Hit 188 in July. He's hit 143 this month. He can attack Moustakas as he did Morales. You think, in theory, to fare well.
And you got to be aware if you're in the infield right now, especially Moustakas has been bunting a little bit more, although this situation you wouldn't think he would try that down the third base line, but he did that a lot, especially early in the season.
It's the same setup defensively with Moustakas at the plate that they had with Kendricks. It's down and in. Moustakas on the season at 273, 11 home runs, 43 runs batted in. River had a monster month of April, which he hit 356, and back then he was hitting in the number 2 spot in the order, shooting the ball out toward left field, driving the baseball. It's cooled off since then. Richards and the Angels looking for a small moral victory here to keep this just a 1-0 deficit going into the second. There's a strike. 96-mile-per-hour fastball. Missed inside. Cut action to that one. 2-1. .21 pitches thrown by Garrett. 13 strikes, 8 balls. 3 straight singles to start off this first inning. Got Hosmer to ground out and Morales to strikeout. So 2 outs and 2 on. Angels got a 2-out walk by Trout. Nothing more in the first. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Ground ball over to the right side. Pujols has it. There's that small moral victory. The last thing you would want is something to snowball here in the first, and Richards stymies that. We'll head to the second. 1-0 Kansas City. Jeremy Guthrie. 1 strikeout, 1 walk in the first. Murphy, the DH tonight, batting in the 5th spot, hitting .287, 6 home runs and 32 RBIs. Guthrie delivered outside. 12th game for Murph with the Angels. 95 on the season. This being 96. 1 ball, 1 strike.
24 at bats against Guthrie for Murphy. 6 for 24.
Jandon rolls this one softly to Hosmer. 1 away. And the Angels take on the White Sox on Tuesday at 7:05. Fans in attendance will receive a travel pillow courtesy of AAA Travel while supplies last. Get your tickets at the stadium box office, or you can get them online. We'll bring up Connor Gillespie. Connor of the year, 226, 4 home runs, 23 RBIs. Originally 7th man in the order before Ibar got scratched before the game. Foul back. 1-1. Double in last night's contest, 1 for 5, and a couple of runs batted in. Two balls and a strike. Guthrie, a lot of experience against the Angels in his career. 14 games, 13 starts, a 4-5 record, 4.48 ERA. Breaking ball misses, 3-1.
And when he's working down in the strike zone, especially with his fastball, he's got a good changeup go on with a solid breaking ball. Guthrie will get a lot of ground ball action. When he makes mistakes upstairs, that's when he gets in trouble.
This one's a little fly ball to left field. Connor with that little loop in his swing. Skies one to Zobrist, 2 outs. Bases clear for David DeJesus. Gets a nice little round of applause here. Royals faithful. Good crowd on hand. 8 seasons, parts of 8 seasons with Kansas City. For David, he was drafted by them in 2000 out of Rutgers. The season was 04. 289 in his career wearing the Royals uniform.
Trying to do a little bit too much at the plate instead of using the whole field, thinking line drive. Baylor wants him to get a little bit closer to the plate, and notice it's a little bit closer today.
He pops this one up left side. It's Alcides Escobar drifting into the outfield grass, makes the catch. The Angels go down in order. We'll head to the bottom of the second. 1-0 Royals. Tonight, this being a 4-game series, and it's back home. 4 against the Sox, 3 against the red-hot Toronto Blue Jays, who, by the way, won again today. And then it's back out on the road, a long road trip, 3 in Detroit, 3 in Cleveland, and then 3 in Oakland before returning home in September. And at that point, I think the Dodgers are in town at some point on that next homestand.
Exactly.
On Labor Day weekend. Toronto at 64-52 now. Came into the day a half-game lead over the New York Yankees. Halos, even with the struggles that they've had up late, are in that second wild card spot, but right behind them is the Tampa Bay Rays, a game and a half out. Alex Rios looks at a strike. Leading off the second inning, it's the bottom third of the order. Rios, Infante, Butera. Run on 3 hits for Kansas City in the first. There's a .247 average, a couple of home runs, 19 runs batted in. 69th game of the year. Remember, he spent some time on the disabled list after being hit by a pitch. Bone in his hand. Two balls, 1 strike. Two at 2. Rios, one of the few moves that hasn't quite worked out for Kansas City this year. Several of the others have worked out pretty well. Kendrys Morales being a big one. Chris Medlin, Ryan Madsen, Chris Young, pitcher.
And Chris Young has really done a nice job in that rotation. Chris Medlin's getting real close to battling for that spot himself in the rotation. He was a 15-game winner just a couple of years ago for Atlanta.
Two. Breaking ball, and this one's sky to shallow right. Civatella hustling out. Cole racing in. Calls him off. 1 out. Hey fans, next Thursday, join us for Singles Night presented by Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Orange County for just $31. Receive admission into the pregame mixer, drink specials, Angel Bucks, and a chance to meet your match. For more info to purchase those tickets, just go to angels.com/singles. You know, you go back to that last pitch that Rios hit the fly ball to right on. Again, Perez set up outside. That was a pitch that was over the heart of the plate.
Yes, and about belt high. What that tells you, when you see a pitcher missing by that much, it means he's got to slow down a little bit longer over the pitching rubber. That front shoulder is flying open. That forces your elbow, the drag in your delivery. That was much better on that one. He stayed back real compact. See how much he's flying open there. His shoulders are already wide open. It's like a hitter pulling off a pitch on the outside part of the plate. Hips and shoulder gone.
Ground ball to short. Featherston has it. 2 down. And that's one of those things as a catcher. It's kind of your duty. You're kind of seeing that stuff and not only just verbalizing it to your pitcher, but also sitting behind the plate. When you set up, especially as far out as he is, make sure you tap the glove on the ground or kind of remind your pitcher certain little key things to kind of keep close and be able to finish off his pitches. And
it's also important for, like say Jarrett Weaver in between one of the veteran pitchers go up to Richards, say, hey, listen, your front shoulder's flying open. Those little things that you can help as a pitcher when you're not pitching that day to help out a guy that's on the mound at this point, because you're in that mode where everything's speeding up quickly out on the mound. You just want a little something to tell you how to stay back, and a lot of times it's that front shoulder.
That's a pretty good pitch right there. Not a strike, but just from a mechanic standpoint for him.
You see the balance, the shoulders are squared up. and driving off the rubber, and that head is still and looking at the target. That's a good one there also. That is a sharp, tight slider.
Popped up on the first base side, headed toward the dugout out of play. Count remains at 1-2.
And that was a fastball, and Carlos was setting up way off the outside corner again. The conversation has to be with Richards, Mike Butcher, Carlos Perez, Chris Iannetta. He's missing some pitches out over the plate with his fastball, so they're setting way off the corner.
This one pulled toward short. Featherston has it. Garrett with a 1-2-3 second. We'll head to the third. Kansas City up 1-0. The Angels take it on the Royals, followed by the Nationals and the Giants. Coverage begins Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Beautiful Kauffman Stadium. Game 1 of a 4-game series. Royals with 3 straight singles in the first inning, picking up a 1-0 lead. As Carlos Perez leads things off here against Guthrie. They've had 1 base runner through 2 innings. That's a walk to Trout. Carlos in 222, a couple of home runs, 13 RBIs. A modified windup there for almost like a quick pitch from the windup for Guthrie.
Probably watching Johnny Cueto, the way he delivers the baseball, the different variations in his delivery.
1-2. Carlos last night, his first multi-walk game. 0 for 1. 6 walks going into last night's game, picked up 2. Off the plate, 2 balls, 2 strikes. There it is again. This one's lined toward short. Escobar has it. 1 away. Breaks up Featherston. See Escobar there with the hand. Looked like the ball was knuckling toward him.
Talk about a guy that can cover a lot of ground. Escobar has been outstanding. He's made some unbelievable plays at shortstop this year.
Featherston hitting 131 with a home run, 3 doubles, 5 RBIs. They're getting into the game last night, went 0 for 1. Ground ball toward the hole. Low throw, and Hosmer has it. 2 outs.
And now it's time for the lows. Never stop improving. Johnny Giavotella coming to the plate. What he has done this year, wearing that Angel uniform, hitting .271. Compared to what he did last 4 seasons with Kansas City in .238. A lot of big hits late in games for the Angels this season for Johnny Giavotella.
Johnny 0 for 1 with a fly ball to left. Royals' second round pick in 08 out of the University of New Orleans. Most games he played for the Royals, 53 back in 2012. He's ahead of the count at 2-0. All the numbers for him this year because of the limited time in previous seasons. Career highs for him: 20 doubles, 3 triples, 3 home runs, 40 RBIs. He's ahead of the count at 3 balls, no strikes. Strike.
Oh, got the outside corner. And corner of box track just caught the corner. Runs it back in and catching an outside corner.
Terry Cedarstrom calling the balls and strikes tonight. John Tumpane at first, Lance Barksdale at second, Quinn Walcott at third. The umpiring crew for the series. 3-2, lifted down the line, tailing toward the seats and out of play. Reset and do it again. There are some Angel fans in attendance here. The sea of blue here in Kansas City.
A couple different Trout hats.
Another payoff, and that is ball 4. So the second walk issued by Guthrie. Both have come with 2 outs. Give Cole an opportunity. He struck out on the first. The only punch out Guthrie's racked up tonight.
Good numbers in his career versus Guthrie for Cole. 4 for 8 with 2 home runs.
Nice dig out of the dirt by Butera.
Now this is the time when, if you're Cole Calhoun, you're sitting something on the inner half of the plate, see if you can hook one down the line here at Kauffman Stadium.
Another breaking ball. Johnny way off the bag. He's able to get back. No throw from Butera.
Could have been a close play. He threw it right away. Another breaking pitch down and in. Scooped well by Butera. He had a shot.
Drew with a pretty good arm.
Yeah, with Mike Trout on deck right now, if you're Cole, especially with a quick conversation with Butera and Guthrie, you got to be thinking, all right, he's got to challenge me with a fastball. Doesn't want to put 2 batters 2 runners on base, I should say, for Trout. So he's going to challenge him here more than likely with a fastball. So you look for your zone. Don't help him out, but look for a spot where you can do the most damage against them.
2-0. That is lined out to center. Unfortunately, he's going to hang up for Lorenzo Cain, who'll make the catch for the 3rd out. Hit well by Cole, but nothing to show for it. We'll head to the bottom of the inning. 1-0 Royals. Fan, you just might see yourself in an upcoming Angels broadcast, and it's brought to you by T-Mobile. Bottom of the 3rd inning, Royals leading at 1-0. They have the top of their order coming up. Escobar with a base hit and a run scored in the 1st. Swinging first pitch, lifts one out to shallow right.
Up there hacking right away against Richards.
7 in a row now retired by Garrett. It's a single for Lorenzo Cain. And remember, that was on an 0-2 pitch. Just made him look foolish on a slider. But gave him a gift with 2 strikes, and Cain took advantage of it, picked up his 52nd RBI. Saw that stat there, all but catcher and pitcher. I would imagine at some point Zobrist will do both. You got it at this point.
You got to try today. Throw off that mound. I don't know about catching, though. That's no fun.
For 1 inning in a blowout game. There's the breakdown by positions. Bulk of that, of course, the Tampa Bay Rays.
That versatility really helps out a manager. Allows you to keep an extra pitcher down in your bullpen because of that. And their starters don't go deep into games, the Royals. They're averaging about 5 2/3 innings pitched. So the bullpen is used a lot. So you need that extra pitcher down there.
Now, considering that bullpen's got a 2.29 ERA, it's understandable, especially what they did last year. Just got to chase on the off speed. 2 balls, 2 strikes. There's Ned Yost. Remember, the Angels were here in June of last year. Halos took 2 of 3. And at that point, it was back and forth. They were 500, a couple games over 500. It really didn't take off for Kansas City until about the 3rd week of July. Zobrist did not go, says Quinn Walcott. Royals are about 2 games under 500 as they started a series in the middle of the series against the White Sox. But from that point forward, they just went on an absolute tear through the rest of the season. Three-two.
Wow, that's a good pitch. That's all over the plate.
That should have been a strike, and it's not.
I don't blame Mike Scioscia for that look right there. That's right down the middle of the plate. And he's reaching back, but that's right in front of him.
And it's right in front of Cedarstrom.
And he's framing it all over the plate. He's always been known to be more of a hitter's umpire.
You think after that call?
Yeah. Believe me, I remember it often.
One of your favorite guys behind the plate?
Oh, yeah.
Here's Lorenzo Cain. 1-for-1 with an RBI single. Walked by Garrett, the first issued by the right-hander.
And that's the lower part of the strike zone also.
Count even up at 1 ball, 1 strike. I remember last year when we were here, and Kansas City was just sputtering along at that point. You knew they had a lot of talent on this team, the young guys, thinking that you could put it together. James Shields was here, and I was listening to talk radio in Kansas City. What are they going to do with Ned Yost? Is he the guy to lead this team? He's royalty now.
Yeah, oh, there's no question.
This is line and pass the third baseman Gillespie in the left field corner. DeJesus goes into a slide, cuts it off. Cain into second with a double. Zober stops at third. Second hit of the game for Cain, his 29th double of the season. Lorenzo's one of those guys that likes to dive out over the plate. You've got to keep him honest in.
And this slider just kind of spun the middle of the plate. Stayed back on that one well, was able to get his arms extended. When he gets his arms extended, that baseball is going to be hit hard.
Infield back with 1 out. Eric Hosmer grounded out to Pujols. His first time up. You hope that non-call on the plate appearance by Zobrist doesn't affect Garrett. Last thing you want to do is have things kind of snowball on you, especially this part of the order up. I think a couple of years ago when he was first coming up and still kind of all over the place with his mechanics, that's one of the things that would rattle him, kind of set him off a little bit.
And when you talk to him and have conversations with him now in between his starts, he really has a good idea what he wants to do. Well, even that one game not too far back where he gave up a few runs in the first inning, and next minute there was 3 of them, came back and dealt and got the W. So then in the past, he would never be able to get deep in the game and have a chance to win.
Yep. Good pitch, 1-2.
And 50 pitches thrown, 32 in the strike zone for Richards. A couple of those strikes he threw, though, out over the plate, mistakes for him. Now an opportunity to get a big swing and miss potentially here. Needs this strikeout, especially the way the offense has continued to struggle.
One-two, little jam shot to short. Featherston has it, 2 outs.
It's an excellent pitch. Jammed him. Went inside with a fastball. Hosmer on that fastball couldn't bring his hands in. He'll make good contact.
Well, the visit to the mound here by Mike Butcher with 2 outs. He did the same thing in the first inning. Now with Morales and the way he's been swinging the bat, especially of late, you might consider with first base open. He did strike him out in the first. Moustakas the man on deck.
Well, Lorenzo Cain with that double he had in this inning, 29 of the year, tied what he had last year. So a lot of baseball left. That's why we talked about his name in that conversation right now for the AL MVP along with Mike Trout and Josh Donaldson.
The only strikeout Richards has picked up was of Morales in the first. Infield is shifted over with 3 on the right. Gillespie this time stays at home near third base. Featherston near the bag at second. Giavitello in shallow right field. It could be one of those where you throw a couple of pitches out of the zone, see if he chases.
Tell you what, Richards, if he wanted to, he can pick off Lorenzo Cain at second. If he put a timing play on. He's way off the base.
Oof. Nasty action underneath the hands.
See where this cut fastball starts and then ends.
The accidental cutter.
The 4-seam / cut fastball.
One ball, 2 strikes. You got a hitter locked in. All of a sudden, you think you've got a pitch in your zone. It really just disappears on you.
What if we'll go either cut fastball again or slider down and in?
1-2 pitch. And he got him with a breaking ball. Down goes Kendricks, and Garrett works out of it. 3 in the books. Kansas City up 1-0. Finish off the third with a strikeout of Kendricks Morales, down and in.
And what a perfect pitch. After a cut fastball is a nasty, hard slider in the dirt. That trust he has that Perez will keep that in front of him. That is not an easy pitch to keep in front of you as a catcher. That spin on a slider when it hits the dirt. But you have to anticipate that, and that's why they've worked so well together, Perez and Richards.
Trout to lead things off here. Swinging first pitch, fouls it back. Trout, Pujols, and Murphy in the fourth. Angels still looking for their first hit. Mike drew a walk in the first inning.
16-game hit streak. It's the Royals.
Two balls and one strike. The two base runners via the base on balls. Trout in the first, Giavotella in the third.
The batter's first time through against Guthrie this year, 279, but second time through, 355.
Breaking pitch fouled off. Two balls, two strikes.
And that includes 8 home runs the second time through the lineup against Guthrie this year.
Mike has struggled this month, 7 for 44, a 159 batting average.
It's been pitched inside a lot. And obviously with the wrist issue for Mike Trout, pitchers are going to pitch inside a lot against him.
Climbed the ladder to misses, full count. Three, 2, and that's a called strike 3. Got him looking on a fastball. One away.
Terror set up target well on the inside part of plate. A little bit off the inside corner, but on the bottom part of the strike zone.
So 1 out, nobody on for Albert. Popped down into shallow right field. His first at bat. Guthrie certainly not pitching like a guy with an ERA just under 6 for the season. Angels have not taken advantage of some pitches in the zone. Cole squared one up to end the third inning, lining out to Kane in center. Two on. Albert lifts one down the line. Stay in the ballpark. Zobrist into the corner. 2 outs.
Boy, the lines down here at Kauffman Stadium always tricky as it drifts down there. More carry on both the right and left field lines than the power alleys here.
.330 down the lines, 387 to the power alleys, 410 to straightaway center. And now Murphy up with 2 outs and the base is clear. David grounded out to Hosmer in his first at bat. He pulls this one down the line. That is a fair ball into the corner. Murphy on his way to second, and it's a 2-out double, his 13th of the season.
First hit of the game for the Angels. Dropped the head of the bat on a pitch down. Curveball, stayed back on it well.
His wheelhouse right there.
Exactly. We've seen that over the years. Whatever uniform David Murphy has worn, he doesn't miss that pitch often. He can throw a hard slider off the plate down in him, but you throw a curveball or even a slower type slider and it's getting the lower part of the strike zone down, it's going to be hit hard.
Connor Gillespie up. He hit a fly ball to left in the second. Let's get their first hit of the ball game. First man in a scoring position. Connor, 19 career games in this ballpark, a .304 hitter. This one back up the middle. It's a base hit. Murphy, a little bit of a late start, being waved in. Here comes a throw from Lorenzo Cain. Safe at the plate. Gillespie to second, and we are tied up at 1.
Talk about taking chances, and Lorenzo Cain has a strong, accurate throwing arm, but you have to take a shot at it, especially with 2 outs. David Murphy able to tie that one up. Buter was unable to get that one-hop throw from Lorenzo Cain, but he charged that one well. He's coming up with the baseball just as Murphy's touching the base. Gary DeSar Sr. sends him home. A little bit up the third baseline, enough where you have to have a quick catch and tag for your Buter, but you have to take chances.
And that long hop, too. So Buter had to kind of take a step back or half a step back. That almost hits De Jesus. Tried to catch a tag all at once, dropped the baseball, and Gillespie picks up an RBI. It's a single for him. It's his 24th RBI. Likes hitting in this ballpark. He is from Omaha.
And it's a perfect park for his swing. Gap to gap. Not a ton of power.
1-1 game here in the 4th. Back-to-back 2-out hits for the Angels.
Most games played as an outfielder in Royals history. Amos Otis, AO, with over 1,800. Willie Wilson over 1,700. But David DeJesus with 862. There's a couple pretty good center fielders there ahead of him. Talking about covering some ground.
Grew up watching AO.
He was smooth out there.
Long strides. Old number 26.
Willie Wilson saved a few earned runs for me over the years. And brought back a couple home runs, as I recall.
Pretty good hitter himself.
Yes. Didn't like to walk a lot. Still had one of the best quotes ever. Said if God wanted me to walk, he would have made me a mailman. So that's why he had about 700 at bats pretty much every year, Willie Wilson.
And your dad a mailman.
Yes.
Took it to heart.
Yes, he did. So that's why he just kept walking and walking for 35 years as a mailman.
Did his coach tell him that as a little leaguer?
Exactly. He wasn't blessed with a lot of speed.
Time was called to play.
So he said, okay, I'll walk.
I couldn't resist.
So I'll be a mailman.
Oh, you meant that figuratively.
Yes.
Gillespie at second base. De Jesus with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Down it is. Snap throw to second base, and Connor gets back there. Not a bad idea. Escobar is shading De Jesus up the middle.
A good secondary lead, but then a quick throw. Way you force a runner to shorten up a little bit on that secondary lead, and he's trying to get a bigger lead because of, especially when you have Lorenzo Cain playing so shallow in center. Zobrist.
Cain's playing center field like a little leaguer would. You get the pickoff at second with the center fielder.
He's right there just in case it goes by. You apply the tag.
Full count with 2 outs. That is ripped foul down the line. Into the seats.
Talked about the numbers. Second time through against Guthrie. Some much better swings. Second time through. A couple big hits with 2 outs. A couple good swings here from De Jesus against them also.
Murphy with a double down the right field line. Came home on the single by Gillespie. Connor taking second on the throw home. Time is called.
That would have been interesting. Guthrie was about ready to throw the baseball as Buter was walking out in front of home plate. See the timeout being called, and he's going to follow through. 65 pitches thrown for Guthrie, 38 strikes, but 27 out of the strike zone. Starting to labor a little bit in this inning.
(3-2), and he walked him. Third walk issued by Guthrie. And Carlos Perez coming up. Visit to the mound. Royals with 4 hits, the Angels with 2. Their first 2 coming here in the 4th.
Steve Eiler's done a very good job with this staff. Very good as far as mechanics. .22 pitches thrown in this inning for Guthrie. Remember, had a no-hitter going into this 4th inning. He's done a lot of pitches thrown, a lot of mistakes thrown. All this with 2 outs. You got Trout looking and pulls on a fly ball to left field to start the inning.
Carlos over 1. He lined out to Escobar in his first at bat. We'll look at that breaking pitch down the dirt. It's a 1-0 count.
Like Socia said today earlier that Carlos Perez not only catches tonight, he'll be catching tomorrow. Give Chris Iannetta a little bit of a breather. It's important now for Carlos with this opportunity to get back to that, looking at that graphic, what he did at the beginning part of the year as far as some big base hits, especially with runners in scoring position.
Chris has been mired in a very tough slump. Trying to snap out of it. Had some opportunities too.
Tough at bat last night with a man on third. Chance to drive in the go-ahead run, but struck out.
3 balls and a strike. Guthrie's got more to the breaking ball in this inning. Stayed with the hard stuff on Trout. The man hasn't quite been there in this 4th inning with that breaking pitch.
3-1 count. That doesn't necessarily mean Perez is going to get a fastball either. You got Taylor Featherston, who has struggled hitting this season for the Angels, on deck.
Ground ball foul.
Threw him a breaking ball. Again, when we talk about there's an open base, that doesn't mean it has to be an open base first. There's an open base at third base.
So the runners get a head start here with a full count of 2 outs.
The old Rick Sutcliffe move.
Dribbler foul.
Actually, that move has worked a few times for Sutcliffe in his career. First and second, 3-2 count with 2 outs. Spin back around, throw to second. Sutcliffe wasn't the quickest worker, so he can blow you to sleep a little bit on that 3-2 count. Local boy from Lee Summit here.
Still don't know how that is not a balk move.
It's not deceiving the runner, is it?
Yeah. They've outlawed the pickoff to third. The non-throw to third. Another payoff pitch. Foul back. Good hack at that fastball.
Pitch count really going up now for Guthrie. 73. We're only in the 4th inning. Again, their starters going a little over 5 2/3 innings pitched this whole year. So it's not abnormal for Ned Yost to start thinking about getting that bullpen moving before too long.
Lifted in the air to right. It's playable for Rios. Angels leave a couple of men on, but they do tie it up. We're headed to the bottom of the fourth. It's a 1-1 game.
Sequence here for Richards against Morales with a couple guys in scoring position. Slider in the dirt, cut fastball in. Another cut fastball in. That sets up his perfect slider down and in. Stayed in off the plate consistently. Did not allow Morales to get his arms extended. It's a great sequence by Richards and Carlos Perez to get a big strikeout.
Garrett Richards back to work. Now to 1-1 tie in the bottom of the fourth inning. A couple of strikeouts, 1 walk, 4 hits allowed. Did a nice job in the fourth, or pardon me, in the third inning, to get out of that situation with runners at second and third, 1 out. I think Hosmer jamming him and lining out, and then Morales to strike out for the second time in the ballgame. Mike Moustakas leading things off, grounded out to Pujols in the first. He's 0 for 1. One ball, 1 strike. So frustration for Garrett there. Huge for him and his team. Quick fourth inning, get back in the dugout. Little jam shot towards the shortstop area, and that's going to go as an infield base hit with the shift on. Once it got past the mound, it's a put it in your pocket type of hit.
It goes inside once again with the shift on. Jams Moustakas fortunate enough that baseball did not hit Richards' hand. He threw that pitching hand out there to catch that one. Even though it's not hit hard, it still could do some damage to your fingers. One of those ones you just tip your hat to the hitter. You made a good pitch. He fought it off and got an infield hit.
Rios takes a strike. The right fielder 0 for 1 with a fly ball to right.
Rios has rolled into 5 double plays. The Royals, as a team, 98 times they rounded into double plays, which is second most in the American League. Only Detroit with more.
One pitch. That is a breaking ball for a called strike. 1-2. Rios has been around a while, originally with the Blue Jays. First round pick, 19th overall back in '99. Got to the big leagues in '04. So the White Sox, the Rangers, and now the Royals.
This location with that fastball again, upstairs. That's a pitch you can fight off as a hitter and flare into the outfield. I'd take a shot at that wipeout slider right now if you're Richards.
Moustakas with the infield base hit at first base. That was a pitch that was up in the zone.
Yeah, you see his reaction.
Infante on deck. Off the plate. Two now. That's out towards shallow left center field. Trout moving over. Makes a catch. Moustakas back to first. Angel fans, send your kid back to school in style with Junior Angels Kids Club merchandise. Each kit includes an Angels shirt, socks, shoelaces, and more for only $18. They can be the star of their classroom. Visit angels.com/juniorangels for more info and to purchase your kit today.
I'm sure they're extremely excited about going back to school.
A lot of places already gone back to school.
My daughter's already back for her 3rd day. She's real happy.
I bet she is. Senior year, though.
Yes.
A little different. Here's Omar Infante. Curveball's been an issue for Garrett today. Slider's been good. Movement on the fastball's been really good.
By the way, she really appreciated me singing "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year" when she was going back for her first day of school. You get to do that on Monday, don't you?
Yeah, they go back on Monday. They're thrilled.
Oh, there's no question.
No, they really are. They actually are thrilled. Infante, a ground out to Featherston in the second. He's 0 for 1. 68 pitches for Garrett, both starters. Kind of up there. Garrett threw quite a few pitches in the first. Limited that damage to 1 run. Ground ball to the right side. Pujols has it. Fires to second for 1. The relay back to first and thrown wildly into the dugout. And Infante will be awarded second base on the error by Taylor.
And tough footwork, too, for Pujols getting back to the base. And a low throw. Difficult for Pujols. Good quick feed. Moustakas is running in on the grass area. Making a more difficult path for Featherston to be able to see that throw.
60th error of the season committed by the Angels. For Featherston, it's his 4th. The man in scoring position, 2 outs, and Drew Butera at the plate. Terrell for 1 with a ground ball to short. Here was detonated for Simon by the Angels and then acquired by Kansas City. We're Jamie Quirk's old number 9. Your guy.
Yes, Jamie. Former first-round pick as a shortstop. Had a long career as a catcher, played a number of different positions throughout his career for a number of different teams for Jamie Quirk.
Good fastball, 0-2. Angels in the 5th have 9-1-2 coming up. Featherston, Giamatelli, and Calhoun. Getting to that point in the game for the offense where they've got to pick up the pace. That bullpen for Kansas City, very good.
Remember, the Angels used quite a few pitchers last night. Was it 6 or 7?
6 total relievers. Salas, Smith, Gott for 2. Alvarez, Street, and Ramos. Street going an inning and 2/3. He wanted more.
Love to see that from Houston.
Now remains at 0-2.
I think right now, if you're Cole Calhoun and you're in right field, you're playing a little more shallow than you normally do. I'd even take a step or 2 more so in right field.
Fonte, not a burner, but with 2 outs and nobody really holding him on, able to take a very big lead from second. And he goes down swinging, and the inning comes to an end. 4-3 to Kansas City. We're tied at 1. EPA estimated 31 highway miles per gallon. This car was made for driving in California. Visit Dodge.com. By AT U-Verse. More live channels on the go than cable. By Heffernan Insurance Brokers. Insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit HEFINS.com. And by Subaru. Test drive the all-new 2015 Subaru Forester or go to Subaru.com to learn more. Top of the 5th at Kansas City, tied at 1. 9-1-2 coming up for the Angels. Featherston trying to bunt his way on. Runs through it.
I like that decision by Featherston. I think he should utilize his speed. How close that play was back in the 3rd inning when he hit a ground ball to short. How quickly he got down the line.
Grounded out. So he's 0 for 1. Off speed, up and in. Guthrie threw a lot of pitches in that fourth inning. He's at 76 pitches now. 44 for strikes. 2 punch outs, 3 walks. Lifted down the line. Rios drifting over. 1 down. Here's Johnny. 0 for 1 with a fly ball to left and a walk. Just picking him up last offseason from Kansas City. It's interesting. A lot of folks coming around asking, Royals folks, asking us about Johnny, the job that he's doing at second base.
Said he's been real clutch, especially late in games. His swing completely different than you see sometimes in the beginning part of the game, where it's more level, using the middle of the field, line drive action, clutch base hits late.
One ball, 2 strikes. 36th game in that leadoff spot for Johnny. He's at 245 in that spot with a 288 on base percentage. Average-wise, best spot for him this year has been the 9 hole. 311 batting average with a 368 on base percentage. The 1-2. Ground ball to the right side. Infante to his left. It'll flip to Hosmer. 2 outs. Nice play by Omar Infante.
Yeah, he hasn't hit a ton this year, but his defense has been solid. We're talking to some Kansas City people when Alex Gordon comes back and goes to left field. Does that put Zobrist at second? They said maybe in the right field because Infante has played such good defense. Under control, solid play by Infante.
I'm sure Johnny, as he hustled back, maybe saying some kind words to his former teammate, robbing him of a base hit. Cole hits one back up the middle, but Escobar shading him that way. That was off the end of the bat. And a 1-2 inning for Guthrie. At the bottom of the 5th inning, top of the order coming up for the Royals. Still tied at 1. Produced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball LP. Escobar, Zobrist, and Kane coming up for Kansas City here in the 5th. A 1-1 game. Royals scoring a run in the 1st, sitting on 3 straight singles. Kane picking up the RBI, and then the Angels tying it in the 4th. 2-out double by David Murphy and a single by Connor Gillespie. Richards, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 hits allowed. Escobar 1 for 2 with a single, fly ball to right, and a run scored.
Two pitches in his at bat already for Escobar. He saw 2 pitches in 2 at bats. Swung at the first pitch both times up.
This one, a little flare on the right side. Pujols backing out. Giavotella calls him off. 1 out. Up steps Ben Zobrist.
Those two always have fun on pop-ups in that vicinity.
Eric Ibar was originally in the starting lineup tonight. Talking about having fun. Pujols with Giavotella. Ibar's always doing the same thing, but Eric, a late scratch with the back issue, some tightness. So Featherston getting started short as Zobrist takes upstairs.
And we know Ibar very, very well. It's very difficult to get Eric Ibar out of a game. See that movement in his neck.
110 games this year. Zobrist's been on board twice. Make that 3 times.
In the head of the count again against Richards. That's the second time he's gotten a hit when he's been ahead of the count. First time up was 2-1. This one 2-0.
2 singles on a walk. And it'll bring up Kane, who's been on board twice with an RBI single in the first and double in the third. Ground ball foul at the third base line. Double that Kane had in the third inning, his 29th of the season. What a pickup he has been. Zach Greinke deal from Milwaukee. Skies this one out toward left center field. Towering shot, chasing Trout back onto the warning track. He'll make the catch. Zobrist back to first base. 2 down.
Trout tracked that one down very well. Going back to the wall. He thought he got it. Very similar swing you see from Torrey Hunter. Back at just at the warning track, he's able to run that one down.
That included a bat flip too, huh?
A lot like Torrey Hunter.
Yeah.
When he gets that arms extended, you have to pitch him in and then get him to swing at sliders away. The back leg swing and then his arms extended. He's got good power. And going away, gets his arms extended.
Not really a bat flip. More of a placement of the bat. That's backlegging it, though.
Yes, he definitely does that.
That is by definition backlegging.
There's no question.
One ball, one strike. He has been, like I said, as he was at the plate, he's been one heck of a player. A lot. You could say that the Rangers obviously pulled off a haul in that Mark Teixeira deal for the number of major league players they got. Andrews and Saltalamacchia, Harrison, Neftali Feliz. But that's that Greinke deal.
Yeah, you got Escobar too.
Escobar, Kane, And then they turned Odorizzi into James Shields because they flipped Odorizzi to Tampa Bay.
And Wade Davis.
And Wade Davis as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
This one's out to shallow left toward the foul line and into foul territory. 1-2. So that's pretty good wheeling and dealing right there. Osborne 0 for 2. He's grounded out to Pujols and the little soft liner to Featherston in the third. Dilber still at first base, 2 outs. Breaking pitch got him. Down goes Hosmer, and we are through 5 at KC. Trout, Pujols, Murphy coming up for the Angels. Still tied at 1. First inning, Lorenzo Cain with an RBI single, scoring Escobar to make it 1-0. Then in the 4th inning, the Angels eventually tied up as Garrett Richards locked things down with a couple of strikeouts. And it was Connor Gillespie with that base hit in the 4th, scoring David Murphy to even up this game at 1 apiece. And that's where it stands right now. As we start the top of the 6th inning, heart of the order coming up for the Angels. Trout, Pujols, and Murphy to face Guthrie.
Real important to score this inning before you get to that part of the bullpen for Kansas City where it's very difficult to score against. Nice job by Richards in this game.
Trout walked in the first, struck out looking in the 4th. So he's 0 for 1. Two-out count.
For a guy that's given up 19 home runs this year, there hasn't really been any baseball squared up even getting close to getting out of this ballpark.
Three balls and 1 strike. Foul back.
That's a pretty good hack right there for Trout.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. Trout fouls it off the right. Richard Trout has struggled the month of August. As a matter of fact, it's 2 RBIs for him over the last 11 games. stuck at 69 runs batted in. Picked that one up against the Orioles. It was on his birthday. Another payoff. Skied out to shallow right field. Rios was playing deep, has to come racing in. One out. Stay tuned later today in the post-game show for the business of sports, brought to you by AutoNation.com and powered by AutoNation Infinity South Bay. There's Albert, who's 0 for 2. Rib foul. No balls, 2 strikes. It's not just Trout. He's been struggling. The RBI home run category combined. Just 1 home run over the last 11 games between those 2 guys. Previous 55 games, 43 home runs. A little extra hesitation there at the windup for Guthrie. This is upstairs.
And those two, between Trout and Pujols, that combination, are putting on pace for about 47, 48 home runs on the season.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And that's a difference on this stretch that the Angels have been on, even though they had a 4-2 homestand. The offense wasn't fully clicking on all cylinders, but even with those 2 guys not performing during that hot stretch, the Angels, well, the rest of the lineup was picking up the slack, and we've yet to see that. And we've said that. Anybody who say that, you can't just rely on 1, 2, 3 guys all season long. You've got to rely on your lineup not turning it over.
Not the American League. National League can get away with a little less of a deep lineup. With the American League, it's very difficult to constantly have to try to win games 2-1, 3-2, and count on just 2 or 3 guys that produce those runs.
Another full count for Guthrie at 94 pitches. Albert fouls this one off. It's tough, it's tough for us. It's tough for folks sitting at home to watch this team go through this, considering the stretch they were on, and they were sitting atop the division. They've gone through it already once this year, and they got out of it. Albert lifts one out toward right center field. Kane moving over. The center fielder will make the catch. 2 outs. All you can hope for is that the pitching continues to hold its own. You give yourself an opportunity, able to put a string of games together where you feel pretty confident and start picking up wins and a little winning streak. The Angels 2 back in the West. An opportunity to pick up a half game with Houston not playing tonight. Texas behind the Angels. 1. He actually came from behind and defeated Minnesota.
Also pick up a half a game on Tampa in that wild card race for the second wild card.
Tampa Bay at the start of the day, a game and a half back of the Angels of the second wild card spot. Nobody's folding up the tents and going home. It's August 13th.
A lot of baseball left, and it's going to be in a fantastic race to the postseason. Except for this division right here in the AL Central.
The Royals are taking it all home right now.
Yeah, this will be the first they can hold on to this lead, I should say. Their first AL Central title for Kansas City. They won 6 AL West titles. Never won the AL Central.
1-2 to Murphy. Inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. David 1 for 2 with a ground out and a double. He started that little rally in the 4th inning. 13th double of the year, shooting into the right field corner. Some action now in the Royals pen. 2-2. Face off. Full count. There have been a lot of those tonight for Guthrie. He's walked 3. But credit him, though, because even with all those 3-2 counts, it's amazing that he's only issued 3 walks. Angels hitters have gotten themselves out.
Ton of pitches, too, for into the 6th inning.
Breaking pitch, hooked down the line, foul. It's that slow breaking ball.
And Murphy got that double, same spot in the strike zone, that slow breaking ball.
Ryan Madsen, first man up.
What a job he has done this year for Kansas City, and what a story it is. It's so long since he's pitched in the major leagues. With the Angels, he kept saying he was getting close, but never could get through that arm injury.
Ground ball to the left side. Moustakas has it. Plants. Fires a one-hopper to Hosmer, and out at first is the call. Mike Scioscia's going to hang on here. Take a look at it first.
Moustakas with a long throw. He was playing more so in the hole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got him.
Easily got him. A 1-2-3 inning for Jeremy Guthrie. We will head to the bottom of the 6th inning. Still tied at 1. To work. Nice play by Moustakas to finish off the top of the 6th inning, throwing down Murphy. He's due up second. Kendrys Morales to lead things off. 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, 6 hits allowed for Garrett. First one's outside. Kendrys has struck out twice. Both times with men in scoring position. Garrett getting him to expand the strike zone.
Stayed inside a lot of pitches against him.
1-1.
And Morales, he took a pitch that he usually is going to drive, so he's going to expand his strike zone now. He's going to be up there hacking.
Three balls, 1 strike. 89 pitches thrown by Richards. 58 have been strikes. He's got 5, 6, and 7 here in the 6th inning. And that is ball 4. Looked like maybe he was touching the upper part of the strike zone, but it's a walk. Second one issued by Garrett. Take a look at the standings in the American League. The divisions, the wild card. Toronto won today. Yankees were leading. A game of 5 yet?
No, it's still going on. 7-5.
7-5. That's in the 8th inning. The Yankees batting. They've got the top spot right now in the wild card with Toronto leading the East. Kansas City 11.5 up. Houston sitting atop the American League West.
How odd is that to see the Yankees in that wild card conversation when they had a significant lead in the AL East.
And quietly in the wild card, Tampa Bay Rays.
Yes, indeed.
Moustakas 1 for 2. Ground out, an infield base hit. A 1.
And another pretty good pitch on that inside part of the plate. Richards looks like he wanted that pitch.
And rightfully so. This one down the left field line. That's going to be trouble. Falls in. On his way to third is Morales. It's a double for Moustakas, and the Royals have runners at second and third with nobody out here in the 6th inning.
Pretty good pitch away. What Moustakas has done this season, especially when he has been hot, he's been using the entire field going the other way. In the past, he would try to pull that baseball and hit a ground ball to second. Let his hands stay back, let the baseball travel deep in the zone and hit the ball the other way.
Another tight situation for Garrett Richards. He's been in a couple of them already tonight. The infield playing halfway with Rios at the plate. Rios tonight, 2 fly ball outs. Cole racing back. He'll make the catch. Morales will tag and score. Tagging and trying to go to third is Moustakas, and he is in there safely. Sac fly for Rios, and it's 2-1 Kansas City as they retake the lead.
Nice play by Cole going back on this baseball. A good pitch for Rios to be able to drive and get the job done, hit the ball in the air. Cole tracks that down well, gets it in quickly. But no play at third base.
Dangerous throw by Giavatello.
I know, that's a throw you don't have to make because you got to anticipate the runner tagging up there and going to third because no one's there to back up, so that ball gets away. That's another run.
Infield in with Infante up. Takes a breaking ball for a strike. Infante 0 for 2. Two-one Royals here in the 6th inning. Nobody will loosening for the Angels. Hit a 13-inning game last night. He went around. 1-2.
You can miss angle if he did cross the plate. Yep, no question.
Ground ball to short. Holding at third is Moustakas, 2 down.
Good pitch by Richards. Nice play by Featherston. A chance at a contact play put on for the Royals there. Would have been an easy play at the plate.
The 2-out Butera coming up. It looks like the Angels in the 7th will get Ryan Madsen. Continue to loosen in that Royals bullpen. Butera looks at a breaking ball for strike 1. Drew 0 for 2. Ground ball in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th. Breaking ball.
Nice job by Perez keeping that in front of him. Trying to expand the strike zone, keeps that in front. Perfect technique, keeping that glove down also.
Two balls, 2 strikes, missing off the plate. Leadoff walk to Kendrys Morales, a double by Moustakas, and a sac fly by Alex Rios. Kansas City to lead 2-1 here in the 6th. Ground out of Infante. Garrett just trying to keep it a 1-run deficit going into the 7th. Top of the order, and Escobar on deck. 2-2, little looper, and that'll fall in for a base hit. Butera singles home Moustakas, 3-1. Garrett angry with himself. A little breaking ball. It was too good of a pitch.
Yeah, got the lower part of the strike zone, but you can expand the zone, get him to chase something out of the strike zone. That's a very important run for Kansas City here deep in the game now. Slide look at middle part of the plate. And a little bit more of a flat slider.
I was backed up. So Perez going out. It's a slow walk, trying to get someone cranked up in the Angels bullpen. Garrett down 104 pitches. Looks like it's Rasmus first man up. Corey pitched 2 2/3 Tuesday night with a 3-0 loss. And actually got up yesterday. Warmed up a little bit. Escobar 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored. Down and away.
Still good velocity on that fastball. Still 97. 106 pitch. Love to have that breaking ball back that he threw to Butera. Done such a nice job as far as limiting the damage throughout this entire game.
Ground ball slowly hit toward short. Featherston has to hurry. And they get Escobar for the third out. But Kansas City strikes for 2 runs. We hit to the 7th. Halos down 3-1. To save you money, log on to mercuryinsurance.com to get a fast free quote and see how much you can save. By Keck Medicine of USC, beyond exceptional medicine. And by Hyundai, the summer clearance is going on now at your Hyundai dealer. Visit buyhyundai.com today. Halos down 3-1 as we start the 7th inning. New pitcher on for Kansas City. It's the former Angel, Ryan Madsen. Our in and out, who's in, who's out. A terrific find for Kansas City. Madsen has pitched in 50 games, 1-2 record, and a 2.53 ERA. You mentioned it earlier about when he was with the Angels, having this conversation with the bench coach Don Wakamatsu before the game today. Madsen, every time he's like 2 steps forward, then 3 steps back, and yeah, it looks like he's going to go on a rehab assignment, and it never happened. It's just a tough season for him. He's found it here in Kansas City. He's the first one down low to Connor Gillespie.
Yeah, his fastball still pretty firm, 91, 95. Cut fastball, but a plus changeup.
Jeremy Guthrie tonight, 6 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Gillespie a single to lead off the 7th, his 2nd hit of the night. Angels managed just 2 hits against Guthrie, who had allowed 31 hits and 17 earned runs in his previous 3 starts.
Go back to my Hyundai cue for this game. Like the live wire, maybe that gets the offense going. Gillespie, a good approach using the middle of the field. Solid contact. Trying to get some runners on for those 3 guys to come up with an opportunity to drive in some runs this inning. You're right. Guthrie, batting average against coming in this game. Opponents hitting .320. Today, the Angels is 2 for 20 against them. It's 100 batting average.
One ball, no strikes on DeJesus. The left fielder's 0 for 1. He popped out of the 2nd, walked in the 4th. Madsen, a Phillies 9th round pick in '98 out of Valley View High School, Moreno Valley. First action of the big leagues for him since 2011. He's with the Phillies. Long road back.
Well, you had a lot of conversations with him. He was wearing that Angel uniform trying to pitch in the big leagues. He was so excited for that opportunity to do so. Just couldn't get healthy enough to do it.
Halos finally released him in August of 2013. Signed with Kansas City in January of this year. The 1-2. Jesus goes down swinging on a changeup.
That's that changeup he has.
1 out.
Turns that changeup over very, very well.
Carlos Perez at the plate. He's 0 for 2. The line out and the fly ball to right. Gillespie over at first. Conversation with Butera. Pretty good fallback option for Ned Yost, considering Wade Davis had a couple of things wrong with, minor things wrong with it, but it kept him out of action. He had a pitch since August 6th, but when you've got a guy like Madsen to go out there, fill that role, time being.
Have Hochevar down there too with the power arm that he has. Herrera. Quite a few options for Ned Yost. And power options.
Ground ball to the right side. That'll sneak through for a base hit. Gillespie will stop at second. And the Angels have 2 on with 1 out, and Featherston coming up. There's a perfect indication that Eric Ibar clearly not feeling comfortable, because if there was ever an opportunity to pinch hit and use Eric, this would be the opportunity.
No question.
Can't use anybody else, because then you don't have someone to play short. Featherston 0 for 2. Lays off, and it's 1 ball, no strikes. Ground ball to short and fly ball to right for Taylor.
That was a real good piece of hitting by Perez going the other way. You see Matt's throw a lot of pitches away. If you try to pull it, you're going to hit a ground ball short.
3-1 Kansas City. We're in the 7th. Going back outside, and that one caught the corner. Pretty good action on that fastball. Gillespie at second and Perez at first. Had another conversation. Top of the order, and Giavatel on deck. Rather mild night, mild day here in Kansas City by their standards in August. Upper 80s, no humidity. Supposed to be that way through the weekend. 2-1 now. Taylor drives one out toward right center field. Kane is there. Gillespie will tag and head to third. 2 outs.
If you look at that in-game box score, the Angels, not a lot of hits. You got Gillespie with 2. Murphy with a double. That's been an RBI also. And the Perez single to right field. Now you're at that top of the order. It's been the point of the game where Johnny Giavotella has been very good. You wonder if that's it for Richards at this point, looking for some offensive help.
Rasmus continues to loosen at the bullpen, so you figure he's coming on at the bottom of the 7th. 2, 3, and 4 due up for Kansas City. Both Zobrist and Kane have had good nights against Garrett.
Playing the outfielders for Kansas City playing extremely shallow.
0 for 2 night for Giavotella with a walk. 1 run, 4 hits, an error, 4 left on for the Angels. 3 runs, 8 hits, 7 left on for KC as Johnny shoots it foul.
He likes to go after that high pitch. Look a little bit out of the strike zone.
Well, if he can get one by the outfielders, it should score 2 runs, even with Perez running at first base, as shallow as the outfielders playing. Outfield shading Giavotella the opposite way. There's a big gap out of left center field. Two balls, 1 strike. Back inside. Tied him up.
Pitch off the inside corner.
At third, Perez at first. 2-2 count on Johnny. Ground ball toward third, backhanded by Moustakas. Across the diamond, and the Angels are done here in the 7th. Stretch time in Kansas City. Royals still lead to 3-1. West Data Strong fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast, and it's brought to you by T-Mobile. Bottom of the 7th inning, Corey Rasmus on in relief for Garrett Richards with 2, 3, and 4 coming up for Kansas City. No record of 3.48 ERA. 7th game. Has 1 start under his belt. Mentioned that he pitched Tuesday night against the White Sox. Going 2 2/3 scoreless.
4 pitches for Rasmus. Fastball's 91-95 range. Good slider, curve. Very good changeup also.
Ben Zobrist, Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer due up for the Royals. Garrett went 6 innings. Allowed 3 runs, all earned on 8 hits, 4 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Zobrist tonight on board 3 times, 2 singles and a walk.
Starting him off with a good changeup.
Down and away. 2-1 count. Not the part of the order you want to start gifting base runners to.
Especially this point of the game, Ed Yost even more aggressive as far as putting runners in motion.
That's a leadoff walk. Zobrist on board 4 times. So you can follow the Angels the rest of the season with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet today. Gerard Dyson takes over at first base as the pinch runner. Well, you know that he's going to be on the move. Team leader in stolen bases. Check that. Second on the team, stolen base with 19. Cain has 21.
See a number of throws over and step offs.
Dyson already off to a huge lead. Tonight extending his inning streak to 7 games with his 2 for 3 performance, a single and a double, 1 RBI. One back. 1 count. RBI that Cain picked up in the first, his 52nd of the year.
Perez is throwing at 25% base runners this year. And you wonder if there'll be a pitch out.
Down low on the off speed. a strike on Kane. Hosmer on deck. Two and one. That's what speed does to you right here.
Yep. Slide step, elevated that pitch.
Or you start having to throw over to first base.
Goes off your timing.
Look, to me, it is what it is. If you got a guy with that much speed over at first base, hold the baseball and then take care of the guy at the plate.
Best way to stop a running game is to hold the baseball. And sometimes for certain pitchers it's more difficult to do that, but it is the best way to deter a running game.
Dyson started, snap throw to first. Dyson back. Last pitch was a strike. So it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they got the upper part of the strike zone.
Yeah, there you see him rung it up. Two balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. Dyson at first. Leadoff walk to Zobrist, and Dyson over at first, pitch running for him. 3-1 KC here in the 7th. Dyson started to go. That's a called strike 3. Down goes Kane on the inside corner, 1 out.
And I think that's the pitch you got to try against him. This whole series is stay inside. Fastball in. Try to sell it as if it was off the plate in, but it gets the inside corner. Because then when you make him aware of the fastball in, then that outer part of the plate is open for you to throw a breaking ball.
Eric Hosmer, an 0 for 3 night so far. Ground down line and a strikeout. Changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike. Royals taking the 3-1 lead, the 6th, 2 runs. Sac fly by Rios, and with 2 strikes and 2 outs, Butera on a mistake by Garrett Richards singled home Moustakas. Ground ball over to first. Albert fields in foul territory. 1-2. Texas won today. Houston is idle. Seattle is idle. Toronto defeating Oakland 4-2. Other games are still ongoing. It's 8-5 Yankees in the bottom of the ninth in Cleveland. Scoreless, the Dodgers, Reds visiting Dodger Stadium, and the Washington Nationals and the Giants tied at 1. Game at the bottom of the first.
For the Pittsburgh game, they scored 7 runs in the first inning against St. Louis, and next thing you know, you looked up, it was 7-5. Eventually held on to beat the Cardinals in that battle in that division, the NL Central. Pittsburgh has played exceptional baseball.
Been red hot of late.
Cubbies win again.
There's another team that's been red hot.
One team that's real scary to play if you're in the National League right now, it's the Mets. They won again. And with that pitching staff, I think anybody is looking forward to seeing them potentially in the postseason. Now they're starting to score some runs.
Pitch out now. Nothing's going on. Maybe a gift now for Dyson with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. He's having a hard time figuring out Rasmus. He's done a nice job. Forget about the throws over. I don't think that does anything. But
held
holding the baseball, and mixing it up.
And he's quick pitched.
Yeah. Now a conversation. This bottom of the 7th continues here. There's the National League look. Mets 11 games over 500. The Nats have been reeling. Just 3 over 500 for the team that was supposed to win it all, according to the experts.
Look where they're at as far as the wild card, along with the defending world champs, the Giants. Closer in their division than they are the wild card spot.
2-2. Little dribbler foul. Angels have pitched Hosmer well so far tonight. Two again. Full count. Dyson delayed steal. The throw goes to second and it goes through to center. Featherston late covering. And as a catcher, you're taught to just throw to the bag. That's exactly what Carlos did. So Dyson ends up at third.
And the delayed steal. Fires it right at the base. As the ball sliding into Dyson, gets by.
Perez gets charged with that error. His second of the year. Infield in down. A full count on Hosmer. Breaking pitch, ripped to right. Make that 4-1. Cole falls down, but the ball goes into his glove. Hosmer with the RBI single, his 66th RBI. Went to the off-speed pitch, and Hosmer got a little hanger, punish it.
He's had a tough time dealing with breaking balls down and in on him. That one was elevated enough to make good contact. You know, when you look at some of these swings from the Royals hitters, a lot of them like to get their arms extended. Go inside, whether it's a breaking ball or a fastball, you can get him out.
Kendrick's 0 for 2, a couple of strikeouts, a walk, and a run scored. Another throw to first. Morales gets into one out of deep right field. Cole racing back. This one short hops the fence. Hosmer on his way to third, being waved in. Here comes the relay through from Giamatella, and Hosmer is safe at the plate. A double for Kendrys Morales, 5-1 Royals.
See how this fastball ran out over the plate, allows Morales to get the arms extended. Right up against the wall, that 387 sign. 32nd double. 82nd RBI. And Hosmer, for a big guy, runs well. Slides in using the hand to touch the plate. That threat of a stolen base has really changed this inning for Kansas City. We talked about it once Zobrist got on base. Ned Yost really pushed the envelope as far as a running game. Disrupted exactly what the Angels were trying to do. A lot of throws over the first. Quick pitches to the plate.
Socha's coming out. That's going to be it for Rasmus. Lasts just 1/3 of an inning. And that leadoff walk to Ben Zobrist kind of starting the ball rolling. We mentioned in this part of the order, you cannot gift base runners, and the Royals have taken advantage of it. So we're going to have a pitching change here with Jose coming into the ball game. Mike Socha going to wait here, so Jose gets a couple more tosses here. Rasmus is already walking off the mound, handing off the baseball. So pitching change in the 7th with Kansas City up 5-1. Angels and the Royals, followed by the Nats and Giants. Coverage begins Saturday, 4 p.m. Pacific, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. It's 5-1. Kansas City's opened it up here in the 7th inning. They did it against Corey Rasmus. Lasted just 1/3 of an inning. 2 hits, 1 strikeout, 1 walk to start this inning off. And that was to Zobrist. And now Mike Moustakas will bat here with Kendrys Morales standing at second base. He belongs to Rasmus. Alvarez pitching in his 41st game. And 1/3 of an inning last night. Issued an intentional walk. Moustakas a 2-for-3 game with a single and a double, no run scored. Wade Davis getting ready for Kansas City. Madsen pitched a scoreless 7th. Breaking pitch, and down goes Moustakas for out number 2. Good slider.
Good spot on that slider.
Sorry, good.
Stayed back on that one well. Good angle. Snaps that slider. Outside part of the plate gets swing and miss.
Rios looks at a strike. 0 for 2. Had a sac fly in the 6th inning. That snapped the 1-1 time. Made it 2-1 KC. Terra with a single made it 3-1. Royals have added 2 more here in the 7th. Morales standing at second with a 32nd double. 82nd RBI. Hosmer scoring from first. Here's the 1-1. Rios lines one towards second. Giamatello has it, inning over, but Kansas City adds to their lead. We'll head to the 8th with Kansas City up 5-1.
Eighth inning at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Kent French back with you, and don't forget following this one. It's all about Angels Live post game, presented by your SoCal Mazda dealers. Myself, Jose Mota, going to break this one down, bring you the highlights and interviews, and also bring you a great story coming out of Cleveland here tonight. Mike Aviles' twin 4-year-old daughters throughout the first pitch at Progressive Field, and it was part of a great ceremony to honor Adriana, who, by the way, was recently diagnosed with childhood leukemia, and all the coaches, players, and even the owner of the Indians got together. They shaved their head, wore Team Adriana t-shirts, and took a photo to support Mike's daughter. Great to see, guys, Mike's baseball family getting together and doing whatever they can to help out his little girl.
Yeah, great sign at Progressive Field in Cleveland. Aviles' family going through a lot, obviously, this year with the announcement. Good to see the guys hanging tough with Mike and his family. Wade Davis takes over on the mound here as Cole Calhoun leads things off. The Angels down 5-1. Davis, we mentioned, hasn't pitched in a week with a back issue. 47 games this year, a .59 ERA.
Opponents only hitting 151 against him. What a transition he has made it from a starting pitcher to a very important role. 8th and sometimes 9th inning for this Kansas City club. Fastball rushes up there, 93 to 98 range. The cut fastball and a slider also.
One ball, 2 strikes. Cole 0 for 3 tonight. Handles have managed just 4 hits tonight. 2 against Guthrie, the starter, 2 against Madsen in the 7th. Wade Davis is a starter, 31 and 32 and a 4.57 ERA. He's 21 and 4 and a 1.41 in his career as a reliever. This is a ground ball back up the middle. It's a leadoff single.
And now it's time for In the Driver's Seat, brought to you by Kia. Speaking of Wade Davis and this Royals bullpen, 2.29 ERA for the reliever, second best in the majors. Only St. Louis better. Last year they've had a pretty good streak going against Kansas City as far as scoreless innings out of the bullpen, and this bullpen can not only get people out, they can dominate with their velocity on their fastball.
Trout hitless today. A walk, a strikeout, and a fly ball to right. That late action on that pitch by Butera catching that ball.
And Trout a little bit more of an open stance. We've seen he had been a guy that will close off his stance very well. A little more open, as you can see.
Breaking ball. He asked on the appeal. He didn't go, and it's 2-0.
See right there for Trout, a little bit more open. Trying to be a lot of pitches inside, especially since he injured his wrist. Trying to be quicker on that inside pitch.
Make you susceptible, though, to the outside part of the plate. You've seen him really driving the ball that way of late. Two and one.
That's that pitch right on the outside corner. Granted, it was firm. Perfect pitcher's pitch.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Throw that cut fastball on the inside corner, freeze a right-handed batter thinking it's a ball, and try to bring it back and catch the corner. Very close to being a strike. Top part of that strike zone, the corner on our box tracks.
Cole over at first base, leadoff single for him. 3-2 on the way. Trout fouls it off. Down the line, tailing toward the seats.
One thing you notice from Wade Davis when he goes into a stretch position, very similar to what you saw from James Shields. Those two together down in Tampa.
3-2 again. Trout drives one out towards center field, chasing Lorenzo Cain back. That's over his head. Calhoun had to hold up for a second. He'll go to third. He's being waved in. The throw to the plate is not in time. An RBI double for Mike Trout, and it's 5-2 Royals.
Boy, really good swing there from Trout to square that one up and rake to center field. 21st double. Fastball, hard of the plate, stayed back on that well. That's that compact, short swing for Trout. And Cain playing pretty shallow, unable to track that one down as Trout picks up his 70th RBI of the season.
Cain almost made a pretty good catch on that ball. Got back there in a hurry. Double for Trout is 21st.
Very comfortable going back on the baseball.
Howard fouls it off late on the fastball. Pujols tonight 0 for 3.
What a good swing from Trout.
Ground ball weakly hit to second. Howard chasing the pitch off the plate. 1 out.
See this swing right here, the stride. He's getting that foot down just as he's creating that swing path, and a perfect swing for Trout to hit that ball over the head of Lorenzo Cain. Not an easy thing to do. Hit it over his head in center field.
So Murphy up with 1 out and Trout standing at third. Trout picking up that 70th RBI on that double. Breaking pitch grounded to the right side, and Fonte far to his left. 2 down, the run scores, and it's 5-3. Murphy picks up the RBI, but the base is clear now with 2 outs. Wade Davis allowed 3 runs all year.
I was just going to say that. 3 earned runs the entire season. He's given up 2 in this inning.
Give up 8 runs all of last year. Matter of fact, the last time Davis gave up multiple runs, it was April 5th of last season against the White Sox here. That's how good of a run he's been on. Connor Gillespie with a couple of hits. 0-2 now. 2 singles and an RBI for Connor. That's a called strike 3. Gillespie doesn't like the call, but it's the 3rd out of the inning. The Angels strike for 2. We'll head to the bottom of the 8th. 5-3 Royals. Oakland. Yankees held off Cleveland 8-6. Mets over the Rockies. Cubs over Milwaukee. And Pittsburgh 10-5 over St. Louis. Here it is 5-3. Kansas City, bottom of the 8th inning. Alvarez back out on the mound, facing 8-9-1. Infante, Butera, and Escobar here in the 8th for Kansas City.
Wait, the 3 best records in the National League are all in the NL Central. St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and Chicago.
Ground ball back to the mound. 1 down. Drew Butera 1 for 3 with an RBI single.
That was a big base hit he got off of Gary Richards and that breaking ball that got a little bit too much to play for Gary.
Lifted out to right. Cole back a couple of steps. 2 down. Top of the order now, City's Escobar coming up. The Angels in the 9th will face Greg Holland. It's the bottom third of the order coming up. This one out to right field. Playable for Cole. Alvarez with a 1-2-3-8. We head to the 9th. The Angels down 2 will face Greg Holland.
Brought to you by Arco. Moustakis, who's been using the whole field this year, goes the other way for a double to left field. Morales over third base. Eventually, 2 runs scored in that inning for Kansas City. The difference in this game right now, a 2-run difference for Kansas City. A good swing from Moustakas.
Holland, the closer for the Royals, 25 saves on the season on relief of Wade Davis. 3-0 and a 3.12 ERA, 37th game for Holland. And De Jesus, a base hit out to left field to lead off this 9th inning.
And Holland's he still has a good fastball, but not overpowering like he once was. Fastball there, up, just above the knees. Jesus goes the other way. Holland 91 to 95 range, but a lot of sliders and a split changeup.
Holland hasn't pitched since the 8th against the White Sox. Breaking ball low. There's that breaking pitch you were talking about. Carlos Perez tonight 1 for 3. He singled in the 7th. Two-0 pitch. 3-0. C.J. Cron's come out to the on-deck circle. He would bat for Featherston. Worry about the defense later.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Carlos. I'm looking at a pitch or two.
At the bottom part of the strike zone. De Jesus wanted to go on that last pitch. No reason to do that.
No.
I don't care if he's paying attention to you or not. At the tying run at the plate.
And Hosmer's holding him on. If he's playing behind him, yes. But when you're holding him on, no. You're not the tying run.
3-1 pitch. Foul back. Good hack by Carlos. And the pitch was borderline. Full count. Payoff. Breaking ball, he lays off. Didn't go. So the first two have reached here to start the 9th. Good plate appearance for Perez. Here's Cron.
See if he did hold up. From our angle, it's certainly no doubt. From up here, even looked like he did, and there's no doubt he held up.
Cron, a .269 average, 7 home runs, 23 RBIs, 1 for 9 as a pinch hitter, and that one, of course, was a home run off Brad Brock of the Orioles. Cron's never faced Greg Holland. First one in there for a strike. Jesus at second, Perez a tying run at first.
And Holland has just allowed 2 home runs in 34 2/3 innings pitched this year.
The stock is toward the line at third. Time was called the last second.
And one thing, when you watch Holland, the way he throws the baseball, he is delivering the baseball as he's falling way off to the first base side of the pitching mound. Really puts a lot of pressure on his shoulder.
Oh, what? And the dirt gets by Butera.
That's huge. Now you have 2 runners in scoring position, both with an opportunity. If C.J. Cron get a base hit, you can tie the game up.
And that wasn't even close to the plate. Right through the legs, it appeared, of Butera.
It's amazing how many strikes Holland can throw. I mean, you could, when he follows through, you don't even see him in the camera angle.
That's a double wicket right there.
It's like one of your slap shots.
Yeah. 1-1 pitch. A strike. Top part of the zone. That's a mistake pitch too by Holland.
That's a pitch you could do some damage to.
Yep. Well, you got the infield playing back too.
And you get a ground ball to the right side, you get a run in, and you get the tying run to third base.
1-2. And that's a shot down the line. That is a fair ball into the corner. 2 runs will come in. Crone on his way to second. It's a 5-5 tie.
That's a great approach.
C.J. Crone.
You can see what he was trying to do. We talked about trying to hit the ball to that side of the field. That's what he was trying to do. He knows a lot of pitchers are throwing sliders away and fastballs away against him. He just stayed back on that well and shot that rocket to right field. What a swing. How short that was, and threw the baseball going the other way. Not even a complete follow through. He's thinking about contact to that side of the field. Looks like Victorino. He's going to pinch run for C.J. Crone. What a job he did. Now, you almost assume that Johnny Giavitello is going to be asked to square around and bunt.
Downstairs.
How big is that wild pitch now?
Giavitello tonight 0 for 3, including a walk. Snap throw to second base, and Victorino back. Better be careful.
That was real close. Trying to get that secondary lead, and Butera with a strong throw. He applies that tag quick enough, and they might even look at that. And they're going to, it looks like. They're comfortable. That was close.
A single by DeJesus, a walk to Perez, and the pinch hit double, tying this one up at 5. Victorino, the pinch runner at second. 1 ball, 1 strike at Giavitello, again showing bunt. And he pushes one up the first base line, and that's a fair ball. The tag is not applied as Hosmer dropped the baseball. So first and third with nobody out.
We know in their stretch, the Angels haven't got a lot of breaks, but that's one. The Gold Glover over at first base spun it down the line. It looked like he was thinking about initially letting that ball roll foul, and then he tried to tag Giavitello as he ran by him. And this baseball might have had a chance of rolling foul.
Johnny gets credited with a base hit.
You can see how that ball started to roll towards the chalk. I think if he leaves that go, it's going to be a foul ball.
First and third, nobody out. Calhoun at the plate. 1 for 4 tonight with a single and a run scored. Cole swinging at the first one out of the zone. It's 0-1. So the improbable 2 runs off Wade Davis in the 8th inning, and 2 runs so far here in the 9th off the closer Holland. Victorino, the base runner at third. Down low.
Garrett did a nice job of keeping that baseball in front of him. Gets his body over. It's that changeup.
Holland ready. Here comes the 1-1 upstairs. 2 balls, 1 strike.
And a lot of pitches thrown in this inning for Holland. Looks like some action going down in the Royals bullpen.
As you mentioned with Holland, he's been a different guy this year. Velo has come down a little bit more reliant on the off-speed stuff, and command's been a little spotty of late. 2-1 now. Cole swinging a miss.
And you're Cole, just shorten up. A base hit is what you need, or sac fly.
Especially now with two strikes on you.
Exactly, just shorten up. A little flare in the left field.
Trout on deck. 2-2 now. Lays off, and it's full count.
Good take. Left-handed batters hitting .250 against Holland this year. Right-handed batters, though, it's 179. You would think as a left-handed batter, as much as Holland falls off the first base side of the mound, that you could see the ball a little bit better out of his hand as a left-handed batter as those pitches come in towards the barrel of the bat.
Left-hander Franklin Morales getting ready for Kansas City. Holland has thrown 19 pitches so far here in the ninth. 3-2 on the way. Cole dribbles this one foul up the first base line. Reset to do it again. Ibar right now not on the bench, so maybe he's loosening it up to try to play short at the bottom of the ninth. Another payoff on the way. Cole rips one into right field. That'll go into the corner. Victorino will score. Giavatella at third base. He's being waved in. No relay throw, and the run scores, and the Angels have a 7-5 lead.
Boy, this is like we said, how that pitch will travel on the inner part of the plate against a left-handed batter from Holland, because he's fallen off towards the first base side. Becomes a more hittable pitch, and boy, did Cole crush that ball. 20th double, giving him now 62 RBI. Hooks that one right down in the corner, and Giavatella was flying around from first as Victorino's waving him home. Boy, 6 runs against this bullpen. Cole pumped up after that swing as well as he should be.
And a stunned crowd here in Kansas City. As automatic as it's been for Kansas City with Davis in the 8th and Holland in the 9th over the last couple of seasons. And a good old punch to the jaw by this Angels offense that was virtually non-existent the entire game.
Yeah, we just showed that graphic not too long ago. The bullpen ERA for Kansas City 2.29, but 6 runs here in 2 innings. Actually, just 1 inning, 1+ inning.
Cole with his 20th double, 62 runs batted in now. Here's Trout, still nobody out. Off speed low. Talk about a team in need of a game such as this. Try to finish it off. Hit off the schneid. 9 straight road losses for the Angels.
And Mike Sosa taking a shot, putting C.J. Cron in the pinch hit.
Jack swing, he went around. The ball gets by Butera. The wild pitch puts Calhoun over third. Trout wanted it, but appealed at first. Gary Cederstrom rings it up. So it's 1-2.
So right now for Trout, he has an opportunity for an RBI now with a man at third. Pitch in the dirt again. See if Trout and D went real close. Close enough where you would think you would ask for an appeal down there. But for Mike Trout, it's an opportunity to drive in a run here now with the infield in.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Scoreboard has it at 3-1. John in his last at bat doubled home a run, and that was in the 8th. A 7-5 Angels lead here in the ninth. Still batting with nobody out. Pujols on deck. Brown fouls it back. Got a fastball there.
Pretty good swing at that fastball also.
Oh, angry fastball from Holland, touching 97.
You throw a fastball down, though, it's going to be hit hard. But what a swing by C.J. Cron. A lot of times you're thinking, okay, why didn't you have Featherston in the game to bunt to get 2 runners in scoring position? And Mike Scioscia thinking in terms of on the road, I'm going for the win. Not necessarily thinking about the tie and a swing, a perfect swing from C.J. Cron.
Set up. DeJesus jumping on the first pitch for a base hit, and Perez with a walk preceding that double. Check swing, didn't go. No appeal by Cedarstrom. So full count.
The important thing is Holland's thrown a ton of pitches. If he's called upon tomorrow, how effective will he be tomorrow?
It's his first game for him since Saturday. Angels taking advantage. Payoff on the way. Ball 4, first and third now with nobody out. Here comes Ned Yost. That's it for Holland. 29 pitches tonight. Does not retire a batter here in the ninth inning as the Angels send 6 men to the plate and have scored 4 times so far. A pitching change. Morales, the lefty, coming on in relief. We're in the ninth inning with the Angels up 7-5. First and third. Talk about a hiccup for the Royals bullpen. As good as they have been, mentioned that Wade Davis had not allowed multiple runs in a game since April of last year. The Angels got him for 2 in the 8th inning, and then tonight against Greg Holland.
Yeah, you look
6
at that.
batters up.
Look at that graphic where you saw, they've been so good for the last 112 games, but leading up to 7. But this swing from C.J. Cron, the difference maker. Look how short, compact, and through the baseball that swing was for C.J. Cron. His mindset was, I'm hitting that ball to the right side of the field, and he hit a rocket down the right field line for a double, scoring 2 runs. What an at-bat for C.J. Cron.
You talk about someone that is, for the most part, emotionless in that dugout. Mike Scioscia, you go back and watch that highlight right there of Cron. And Scioscia with a double fist pump as Pujols fouls the first one back.
Yeah, you usually don't even know if the Angels are up by 10 or down by 10 when it comes to look Mike Scioscia generally has during the course of a game. But that was a big and a gutsy move by Scioscia to put C.J. Cron in that spot when you can have Featherston lay down a bunt and get 2 runners in scoring position.
Morales signed as a free agent in the offseason. He's been a big pickup for Kansas City. 3-1 at a 2.58 ERA, pitching in his 49th game. Calhoun at third, Trout at first, Pujols at the plate. It's called a strike. The inside corner. Albert doesn't like the call. Albert 0 for 4 tonight. Infield playing in. Albert has one plate appearance against Morales, and it was a walk. He goes down swinging here on a pitch, down and in. So Albert struggles with men in scoring position continue.
And that's the spot where the pitchers are throwing, whether they're left-handed or right-handed. Breaking balls down and in from a lefty, that two-seam fastball down and in from a righty.
Here's Murphy.
That's a big run out there at third to bring home.
You've got 2, 3, and 4 coming up too for Kansas City. Houston Street gets ready in the pen. Murphy had a double earlier in the game that started off the first run. He came around to score that first run with a single by Gillespie. And then David had an RBI ground out in the 8th. 1 for 4 game. Infield back now halfway, looking for the double play. This one's down and away. 2 balls and no strikes. David Murphy 1 for 5 in his career against Morales. .294 hitter against left-handed pitching this season. Look at a strike. Trout takes off. Murphy pops it up on the infield. Trout better hustle back. Butera calling for it, makes the catch. Mike gets back to the bag.
And Mike
Trout had a huge jump.
He did have a huge jump, but he's able to stop just as he got to second base. Because if you get to second base, you touch the base, you have to touch it again.
Uh-oh, that's not a good sign. Grabbing the back of his right leg.
It's because he had to stop quickly.
Mike Scioscia might come out here with Adam Neville. Trout's going to stretch it out here.
He's got a huge jump. Then he stops right at the base. And then he's got to go right back to first base. He's uncomfortable going back. I'm saying I'm all right. He's trying to stretch his calf out.
Oh, 2 outs, 2 on. Here's Gillespie. Ninth man to bat here, the ninth. Connor 2 for 4 with a couple of singles and an RBI. Gillespie 0 for 4 in his career against Morales.
Pitching a dirt nice job by Butera keeping that front. Morales with 5 wild pitches.
First, Mike's back. Many of the 32,098 simply started to depart after the 8th inning. Late night, school night, and with
especially
Davis and Holland,
with that bullpen they have.
The record that they've had over the last several seasons, last couple of seasons. Gillespie takes loads. 2 balls, no strikes. The unexpected has happened here tonight for the Angels. 2 in the 8th and 4 here in the 9th, leading at 7-5. Two balls, one strike. Morales originally with the Rockies, spent some time with the Boston Red Sox. Back to Colorado last year. 22 starts, had a .537 ERA, and then Kansas City scooped him up, signed him, and put him in the bullpen. It's been good for him. 2-1. This is pulled foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Saw what they have done in those previous 8 road games. But tonight, 7-6 in the last 2 innings against the best bullpen in the American League. Like Socialist Club coming through with 6 in the last 2 innings.
Breaking pitch got him looking, and the Angels will strand 2. But they strike for 4 runs here in the 9th. Houston Street coming on to relief to try to close it out for the Angels, up 7-5. That Eric Ibar's unavailable, with C.J. Cron pitch hitting for Taylor Featherston. Mike Scioscia has to mix it up, and it's a complete mix-up on the infield with Giavotella taking over at shortstop. Second base is now Connor Gillespie, and Cole Calhoun ends up at first base. Shane Victorino, who came in as a pinch runner, is now in right field.
And the interesting thing here is with Houston Street, he's more of a pitch-to-contact closer. There's to be some action. Guys playing out of position. And Albert came up as a third baseman with the Cardinals, so he's played that position before. And Cole has played some first base.
Houston pitching in his 43rd game, a 3-2 record and a 2.49 ERA. And you got Gerard Dyson coming up to lead things off.
And now if you're Houston Street, you got to tell everyone to play back. That's what he's saying. He's going to field his position, and he fields that position very well. He's got that side of the field. That's what he's trying to tell Gillespie and Cole. Albert playing in.
Dyson bunts one. Knew that was going to happen with Pujols playing at third base.
But that's when you take that responsibility as a pitcher. You have those bunts on either side of the mound right now. Houston Street is a very good athlete. He fields his position very well.
Albert got in 1 game last year at third base. Gillespie played the right side on shifts plenty of times. This is Dyson's first plate appearance. There was a pinch runner in the 7th inning and scored one of the 2 runs that Kansas City plated that inning. Off speed, little dribbler to first. Calhoun takes it. He'll take it himself. Dyson out number 1.
Good play by Cole. No one take it himself. You have Gillespie not playing a whole lot of second base before. Grabs it and applies the tag. The important, oh so important first out. Houston did a nice job again. Dyson reaching out in front.
Angels playing a man down with Eric Ibar being scratched before the game with a sore back. That's why you see the configuration as it is, especially after, like we said, when Crone came up, you worry about the defense later. Here's Lorenzo Cain. Center fielder's had a nice game, 2 for 4 with a single and a double. He's also picked up an RBI. Off speed, fouled off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Houston pitched last night, went an inning and 2/3. Gave up a hit, a strikeout, had 1 walk. It was an intentional walk.
He wanted to stay in that game.
He certainly did. Slider missing. Just missed upstairs. Pretty good pitch, borderline.
Yeah, it could have been called a strike, upper part of the strike zone. Look at our box tracks. Gets the upper part of the strike zone. The target was set at the knees on the outside corner.
Here's the payoff pitch. Lifted out to right. Victorino playing shallow. Moves over to his left. 2 down.
Played a very good right field throughout his career, and Victorino runs that one down.
Hosmer looks at a strike. First baseman tonight, 1 for 4. RBI single in the 7th inning. Low.
That's a good pitch also. Lower part of the strike zone.
Great conversation with Houston today at the hotel before we left to come to the ballpark. Thinking last night, talking about last night's game. We felt that when the Angels tied it up in the 9th, that was going to be the victory. It snapped that losing streak, got the Angels going as Hosmer drives one out to deep right center field. That is a long shot, and it's a solo bomb, and it draws the Royals to within 1 at 7-6. Down and in and right in Hosmer's wheelhouse, his 13th of the year.
And this baseball is crushed. A little bit different between making a 1-1 pitch as compared to an 0-2 pitch. He got a lot of the strike zone there. And many, like mentioned, conversations with Houston Street. It's all about saves for him. Not that he wants to give up a run, but it's all about saves. Before to go after a hitter, make him swing their way on, and Hosmer did not miss that one.
One out to Kendricks. Swinging a miss. Tardy on the fastball.
The shift on. You got Giavitello playing back in his normal position over at second base. It's the only position he's ever played in the major leagues. His second base position, first time ever at shortstop.
Started the wind up and stop. A 2-out home run by Hosmer, making it 7-6 Angels here in the ninth. One. Breaking ball low. Morales 1 for 2 in his career against Houston. He shoots this one to left. That'll bring the tying run in the scoring position. No. DeJesus cuts it off, holds Kendricks to a 2-out single. So the tying run on board, however, and Mike Moustakas coming to the plate.
And some more speed coming out on the bases for Kansas City.
Paulo Orlando, speedy outfielder, on to pinch run.
That's that sign from Dino Evil. No doubles defense. Don't let anything go over your head.
Orlando with 3 stolen bases has been caught once. Houston will check in on him. Moustakas tonight 2 for 4 with a single, a double, and a run scored. Houston retiring Dyson on a ground down, Kane on a fly ball to right, and Hosmer with a solo home run to deep right center. Kendricks with a base at the left. Outfield very deep all the way around. DeJesus, Trout, and Victorino from left to right. Moustakas takes low. Two balls and no strikes. Going back-to-back off speed. 3 infielders on the right side. Pujols, the third baseman, the only guy on the left side. Pitched in. Again, when you look at the box tracks, when it crosses the plate, that's catching the lower part of the strike zone. And Orlando at first base can run like the wind. Last thing you want to do is put him in scoring position. Got Alex Rios on deck. And there's a walk, so the tying run now in scoring position, the winning run at first. Alex Rios in his career against Houston Street, 3 for 8. The right fielder tonight, 0 for 3, had a sac fly in the 6th inning. Outfield will come back to normal territory.
If you're Pujols, you get a ground ball to you can step on third.
Ten hits for the Angels, 12 for Kansas City. Houston trying to pick up the 27th out. First one, a strike on the outside corner. At the benefit of the call. Good slider. Oh, 1 pitch. Rios almost chased it. Takes it outside, 1-1.
Good decision to go right back out there again. A little bit off the plate. But when the pitch before is called a strike, you're more apt as a hitter to go after it.
That's some guys in unfamiliar positions on the infield. They've got to make sure they know where they're going with that baseball if it's hit to them. Whether it's Pujols, Ciavateller, or Gillespie. 1-1 pitch out toward left center field. Playable for Mike Trout. He's underneath it. Light that baby up as the Angels pick up the victory. 7-6 the final and snap that 9-game road losing streak.
And what an impressive and an improbable victory for the Halos, scoring 6 runs in the 8th and 9th inning against the best bullpen in the American League. Getting 2 off of Wade Davis, 4 off of Holland. What swings from C.J. Cron, and he had a great swing from Cole Calhoun.